Welcome to another episode of People Pod.
Hey, everyone.
When an artist looks right at the camera and tells you exactly what they're going to do, you usually just, take them at their word.
Right. Oh, definitely. Yeah, you just expect them to follow through.
Right. And prior to the release of her highly anticipated sophomore album, Guts, Olivia Rodrigo explicitly stated that this new record would probably be, in her words, a lot happier than her debut, Sour.
Which was incredibly heartbreak heavy.
Exactly. So you, as a listener, you're geared up for something light. You're expecting this sunny, celebratory era.
Right. It's the natural expectation. She just conquered the world with her debut.
Mm-hmm.
And, the standard operating procedure in the pop music playbook is to follow up that angsty debut with a victory lap.
Yeah.
The upbeat, untouchable pop star phase.
Yeah, that is exactly the playbook. But then the very first thing she releases to introduce this supposedly happier era is a bloody, vengeful, gothic-inspired track called Vampire.
Such a massive pivot.
It really was. We were promised sunshine, and she basically delivered a total eclipse.
Yeah, she really did.
So to figure out how this happened, we've pulled together a really fascinating stack of sources today, ranging from Rodrigo's raw studio interviews and behind-the-scenes production notes, all the way to deep-dive critical reviews from Pitchfork and The Guardian.
And the Billboard chart data, too.
Yes, the Billboard data is wild. So our mission today is to explore how a raw, solitary moment at a grand piano transformed into this sweeping, tempo-shifting rock opera that totally captivated the world.
And completely subverted every expectation we had for her.
Exact. Okay, let's unpack this. Where does the actual creation of this song begin?
Well, it begins in December of 2022.
Mm-hmm.
And it begins in absolute total isolation.
Oh, really?
Yeah, according to the timeline we have from her interviews, Rodrigo was deeply upset over a highly specific situation in her personal life. But instead of doing what most modern pop stars do, which is, book a writing camp, gather a team of hit makers in a room, and manufacture a hit.
Yeah.
She went into the studio completely alone.
Just by herself.
Totally alone.
Mm-hmm.
She sat down at a grand piano, and as she described it, the chords, the melody, and the lyrics just sort of poured out of her.
Wow.
Yeah, her exact phrasing in the sources is that it felt almost like an out-of-body experience.
An out-of-body experience. Man, that makes me think of a pressure valve finally releasing,
Oh, absolutely.
He's just alone in this room. All this tension has been building up, and she just opens the valve and lets the steam out, like catching lightning in a bottle.
That's exactly what it was.
Because if you think about it, initially, this was supposed to be just a traditional piano ballad. And if you're listening to this and rolling your eyes thinking, oh, great, another sad girl at a piano singing about a breakup.
Right, the classic trope.
Yeah, but you have to remember that this raw, mournful sound is very much the DNA of her massive breakout hit, Driver's License. So, it makes total sense she would start there.
It makes perfect sense. The initial framework of the song is a very traditional, raw singer-songwriter confession. She is basically honoring the roots of what made her famous.
Right. But it didn't stay a ballad.
No, it didn't. The massive narrative pivot in this song's history happens when she takes this very raw, very quiet piano material to Dan Nigro.
Her main co-writer and producer. Right.
Exactly. So when those two got together in January of 2023 at amusement studios in Los Angeles, they made a really critical decision.
Wait.
That solitary pressure valve release you mentioned, they didn't just capture it. They decided to build an entire thunderstorm around it.
Wait, I have to push back on that process for a second.
Sure.
If you have a song that is born out of total isolated vulnerability, like a girl alone at a piano having an out-of-body experience, doesn't throwing a massive production at it risk, drowning out the very vulnerability that made it work in the first place?
That is a very valid point.
Why mess with the piano ballad formula?
Well, that is the exact risk they took. And honestly, it's why the song is so musically ambitious. They avoided drowning out the vulnerability through deliberate juxtaposition.
Okay, how so?
Nigro and Rodrigo looked at these incredibly angry, wounded lyrics and realized that a quiet piano just couldn't carry the weight of that much rage.
Ah, that makes sense.
So they brought in Benjamin Romans on piano, Paul Cartwright playing viola and violin, Sam Stewart on electric guitar, and Sterling Laws on heavy drums.
That is a huge lineup for a sad piano song.
Right. So the track starts off masquerading as that familiar pop rock piano ballad you expect, but then it introduces what they described in their notes as crazy tempo changes.
And when we say crazy tempo changes, we need to explain what that actually feels like to the listener.
Yeah, definitely break that down.
Because pop music, especially radio pop, usually relies on a steady, predictable pulse, right? A constant BPM or beats per minute, so you can easily dance or nod your head to it.
Exactly. You want that consistency.
But here, the speed of the song literally accelerates. It morphs from a slow ballad into this jittery, fast-paced disco rock hybrid.
And let's look at what that disco rock hybrid actually sounds like mechanically.
Yeah, please do.
The drummer switches to a relentless, four-on-the-floor dance beat. You know, that driving thump, 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 thump you hear in club music.
Oh yeah, the classic club beat.
Right, but it is layered entirely underneath incredibly heavy, distorted rock guitars.
Which is such a weird combo.
It really is. It creates this intense physical feeling in the listener of needing to move while simultaneously feeling sort of stressed out by the heavy instrumentation.
Right.
And then it eventually climbs into a full symphonic rock climax and finally ends on a pulsing EDM-inspired beat.
You know, what's fascinating to me is that this constant acceleration forces your heart rate to mimic the song.
Oh, that's a great way to put it.
Yeah, it feels like an escalating panic attack, or like the physical sensation of your anger literally bubbling over.
What's fascinating here is how Rodrigo and Nigro explicitly describe their vision for this exact structure.
What do they say?
They wanted the song to crescendo the entire time.
Yeah.
They wanted the music to physically reflect the pent-up anger you feel when you are trapped in a toxic situation.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they explicitly called this structural approach their version of a rock opera.
A rock opera, really?
Yeah. It was designed to be, in Rodrigo's own words, a heartbreak song you can dance to.
I love that.
So the tempo changes aren't just like a quirky musical choice to stand out. They are the psychological narrative of the song translated directly into rhythm.
That is brilliant. But, you know, anytime you push the boundaries of pop music that aggressively, you invite scrutiny.
Yeah, always.
There was pretty heavy criticism and controversy when Vampire dropped, specifically regarding its musical composition.
Right, the radio comparisons.
Yeah. A lot of critics and listeners pointed out striking similarities between the chords in Vampire and Radiohead's iconic 90s anthem Creep.
It was all over the internet.
And there is a fascinating irony here, because the sources note that Rodrigo famously covered Creep when she was just 13 years old.
Wow, just 13.
Yeah. So I have to ask you, does this reflect a subconscious musical influence bubbling up from a song she deeply internalized as a kid, or is this just the inevitable recycling of classic pop rock chords?
Well, it's a heavily debated point in music criticism, and it requires us to look at how chords actually work.
Okay, give me the music theory breakdown.
Think of musical chords like colors on a painter's palette. There is a specific combination of dark blues and grays. In music, these are specific descending chord progressions that almost universally trigger a sense of impending doom or melancholic dread in the human brain.
Oh, that's really interesting.
Yeah, and Radiohead utilized those exact colors brilliantly in Creep. So because Rodrigo covered that song at such a formative age, she fully absorbed that specific emotional language.
So she basically just reached for the same dark paint.
Precisely. Whether it was a subconscious homage to Radiohead or simply her reaching for the exact acoustic tools that best articulated her rage, you know, the similarities sparked a massive conversation.
Oh, totally.
But even with that criticism, what elevates Vampire from being a mere pastiche of a 90s rock song is the lyrical content.
Right, because all that booming theatrical instrumentation and those descending chords of dread, they would feel completely unearned if the lyrics sitting on top of them didn't match that exact level of intensity.
Exactly, they have to match.
And she does not hold back. Let's look at how she weaponizes her words here. The chorus is instantly iconic. She sings, "Bloodsucker, fame fucker, bleeding me dry like a goddamn vampire."
Such a powerful line.
It is. Now, to get this on the radio, they obviously had to create a clean version, replacing that phrase with Dream Crusher and just damn.
Right, and it's worth noting that Dream Crusher still carries a pretty heavy emotional weight.
Oh, for sure.
It still communicates betrayal. But the original explicit lyric fame fucker is the crucial one because it highlights a very specific narrative of exploitation that is central to the song's entire meaning.
Break that down for me.
It implies the relationship wasn't just a romantic failure, it was a transaction. The anger isn't just about a broken heart, it's about being used for social currency.
Wow, yeah. That brings us to the core conflict, the true dagger of the song, which is in the line, "Went for me and not her, 'cause girls your age know better."
Yes. That line right there.
When you hear that, it completely reframes the entire relationship.
It really does. That single line shifts the song from a standard breakup anthem to a sharp critique of a power dynamic and an age gap.
Right.
She is pointing a finger at a much older man and realizing that his interest in her wasn't genuinely romantic. It was predatory.
Oof. That is heavy.
He chose her specifically because a woman his own age wouldn't tolerate his behavior. That realization of being targeted for her naivety is the engine driving the rage of the entire track.
It's basically a young woman realizing she was viewed as prey by an emotional vampire.
Exactly. This raises an important question, though.
Which is?
How does an artist navigate their highly specific personal trauma when the public immediately treats it as a tabloid puzzle to be solved?
Oh, that is the dark side of songwriting right there.
Because the public speculation about who the vampire actually was reached a fever pitch almost instantly.
Oh, the internet turned into amateur detectives overnight. I remember it.
It was inescapable.
The suspect list was heavily debated, with the public focusing primarily on two older men she reportedly dated for about 6 months each. There was film producer Adam Faze and DJ Zach Bia.
Right.
But we should add the nuance provided by our sources here, because Zach Bia actually went on the record to address this. He gave an interview to GQ magazine specifically to deny that the song is about him.
What did he say?
He claimed there was, quote, never any drama after their relationship ended.
Which, from a PR standpoint, is exactly the kind of neutral statement you would issue if you were trying to deflect the wrath of millions of highly engaged pop fans.
Seriously, you do not want to be the target of that fan base.
No, you don't. But the truth is, Rodrigo herself kept the subject intentionally ambiguous.
Smart move.
Yeah. She noted in interviews that she found fun songwriting fodder in vampire lore, sort of blending her reality with classic horror metaphors.
And the speculation didn't even stop at her ex-boyfriends, right?
Oh, no. It got so much wilder.
Yeah, there was this wild fan theory circulating that the song was actually about Taylor Swift.
Which is just crazy to think about.
Right, referencing like alleged behind-the-scenes industry drama over songwriting credits on her first album. But when Rodrigo was asked about that specific theory by The Guardian, she stated she was very surprised by it, just maintaining her diplomatic stance.
Kept it very professional.
Exactly. But here's where it gets really interesting, though, because regardless of who the song is literally about, a DJ, a producer, or a fellow pop star, Rodrigo, and her team took this intense, highly personal, rumored drama and translated it into an incredibly stylized visual and commercial package.
They really did.
They leaned all the way into the metaphor.
And the visual translation of this song is basically a masterclass in pop imagery. Let's look at the promotional artwork first.
Okay, yeah.
It's this stark, black and white portrait. She's wearing a dark lip, looking very gothic, but the striking detail is on her neck. She has 2 purple crisscross Band-Aids.
The Band-Aids are such a brilliant touch. It's this juvenile, everyday item that you associate with, like scraped knees on a playground, right?
Right.
But it's placed exactly where a lethal vampire bite would be. It visually highlights that exact age gap and innocence lost theme we were just talking about in the lyric.
It perfectly captures that contrast, and it's also a direct reference to classic cinema.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, that imagery nods specifically to the poster for the 1968 horror film Dracula's Risen from the Grave.
Oh, wow.
They are signaling to the audience right away that this isn't just a sad breakup song, it's a horror story.
That is so cool.
And that horror aesthetic was brought to life spectacularly in the music video, which was directed by Petra Collins.
Who also directed the heavily stylized videos for her sour hits Good For You and Brutal.
Exactly, so they had a great working relationship already.
Now, if you haven't seen the music video, we need to set the scene for you. It starts out looking like a very classic, almost overly romantic pop video. Rodrigo is performing in this ethereal, foggy, beautiful flower field.
Very dreamy.
Very dreamy. She's wearing a pristine white dress. It looks incredibly safe and manufactured.
Right, but then the camera pulls back, and the illusion is completely shattered.
Yes.
You realize the flower field is fake. It's just a flimsy set on a stage at a massive superficial award show. And then, out of nowhere, a heavy lighting fixture falls from the rafters and strikes her.
Which genuinely makes you jump the first time you see it.
It's so jarring.
And from that moment, as the beat picks up and those crazy tempo changes we talked about kick in, the video descends into complete chaos. She keeps performing while actively bleeding, completely ruining this pristine white outfit.
And it just escalates from there.
Yeah, then security guards rush the stage, but instead of helping her, they try to pull her away. She runs. She's being chased by security through the dark city streets, looking terrified and just totally ambushed.
The visual metaphor there is incredibly potent.
What's your take on it?
Well, the fake flower field represents the sudden manufactured illusion of her massive fame, and the falling light and the blood represent the harsh, painful reality of her exploitation, both in her romantic relationships and, arguably, by the music industry itself.
Man, that is deep.
And the fact that she is chased by security,
Yeah.
the very people who are historically meant to protect VIPs, adds to this feeling of total paranoia and a complete lack of safety.
And it all culminates in this surreal moment at the end of the chase where she literally levitates into the night sky.
Which is her transcendence.
Yeah.
After being battered and chased, she is rising above the vampires that tried to drain her. She sort of reclaims her supernatural power.
And clearly that message of reclaiming power resonated deeply with listeners because the commercial triumph of this song was just astronomical.
It was unbelievable.
When you look at the Billboard chart data, it's mind-blowing. It debuted at #1 on the U.S. Billboard Hot 100. In its first week alone, it racked up 35.5 million streams and 26,000 pure sales.
It's huge numbers.
And it didn't just conquer the U.S. It topped the charts in Australia, Canada, Ireland, the U.K. It was total global dominance.
But the most surprising fact from the data isn't just the massive debut. It's the song's incredible endurance.
Right.
In the streaming era, it's very common for a highly anticipated song to debut at #1, driven by sheer curiosity, and then plummet down the charts the very next week.
Yeah, that happens all the time.
But Vampire didn't do that. Weeks later, bolstered by the release of the full Guts album, the song surged all the way back to the #1 spot on the Hot 100.
Yes, and in doing so, it tied a very specific, very difficult Billboard record. There was a 9-week gap between its weeks at #1 in a single chart run.
A 9-week gap.
Yeah, that tied the record for the longest gap ever, a record previously held by Miley Cyrus's Wrecking Ball.
Oh, wow. Wrecking Ball was massive.
Exactly. And that 9-week gap is crucial because it proves that this wasn't just a flash of initial hype or like a coordinated fan campaign. The song had real, undeniable cultural staying power. People kept coming back to it.
It definitively cemented her status. I mean, you have to remember the immense pressure she was under.
Oh, totally.
Following up a debut album like Sour, which was a generation-defining cultural phenomenon, is arguably the hardest thing to do in the music industry. The sophomore slump is a real industry fear that ruins careers.
Right.
Vampire entirely eradicated that fear on arrival.
So what does this all mean? We've got this young woman alone at a piano experiencing an out-of-body release, a wild musical transformation into a rock opera, a fake awards show covered in blood, and record-breaking, enduring chart success.
It's a lot.
It is. When you step back and look at the whole picture of the vampire phenomenon, what is the ultimate takeaway for the listener here?
Ultimately, it means Olivia Rodrigo proved she wasn't just a fleeting moment in pop culture. She proved she is a maturing, highly capable artist with incredible instincts.
Yeah.
I think the review from Pitchfork really nailed the essence of this when they noted that the song's ambitious structure, those accelerating tempo changes, that theatrical buildup mirrors a young woman's gradual understanding of her own agency.
I love that quote.
It's spot on. She isn't just a passive victim of a broken heart anymore crying at a piano. She is actively orchestrating her own narrative and weaponizing her experience.
And the broader music industry formally recognized that growth too, right?
They absolutely did. The ultimate validation for this track came when Vampire received 3 major Grammy nominations.
Which were?
Record of the Year, Song of the Year, and Best Pop Solo Performance.
Just incredible. It's so wild to think about the journey of this track. She took the darkest, most isolating, most vulnerable moment of her year and turned it into the biggest, loudest, most defiant statement possible.
That's the perfect way to frame it.
It's like she took the jagged, ugly white line of a broken bone in an X-ray, and instead of just putting a cast on it and hiding it away to heal quietly, she painted it neon, magnified it 1,000 times, and put it on a billboard for the whole world to look at.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it leaves you with something really complex to consider about the art we consume.
How so?
Well, if an artist's most celebrated, critically acclaimed, chart-topping work comes directly from an out-of-body experience born of deep, pent-up anger and real-life exploitation,
Yeah.
it begs a serious question about the nature of modern entertainment. Does the pop music machine inherently require young artists to continually bleed for our enjoyment? Do we demand that they suffer private agonies just so we can have a structurally complex hit song to dance to?
That's dark.
Or, conversely, is a massive record-breaking track, like Vampire, the exact tool they use to finally take their power back from the people who tried to drain them?
That is a fascinating tension to leave you with. Is the music industry the vampire, or is the song itself the wooden stake? It is definitely something for you to mull over the next time you find yourself driving and singing along to that chorus. Thanks for listening to PipplePod. Keep tuning in for more stories worth knowing.